back to Linux Weekly Daily Wednesdays, where we sit back, relax, take that midweek break, talk about the fun things that we found personally going on, and stories that interest us that happen to include Linux, open source, and other fun things. I am Vince Stone, joining us from Los Angeles, that is Jill Bryant, in her new pink shirt, penguin flavored.
Yes.
Look at it.
Yes.
It's pink.
Use me penguin merch.
Oh, that poor
LGC
penguin.
merch.
The things. And from the Isles of Britannia, you know him, you love him from the Saturday show, and oh no more Morrowind adventures.
No more Morrowind adventures.
No.
Hello.
Pedro Mateus. Everybody join us live, man. What's up? As always, fair warning, we try not to put you to sleep during the show, so there may be jokes and attempts at humor. Oh no.
Yes.
Be very afraid. Jill, what's new with you, man?
Oh gosh, still doing more Linux Gamecasts at Scale Prep, and in fact, we're having our LGC party this Saturday, and it's also Scale Prep as well. So it's a lot of organization. And I just wanted to remind everyone again that they can use the Linux Chicks LA booth promo code capital CHIX during Scale 18X registration for 50% off. So I figured I'd put that out there every week up until Scale, or every LWW up until Scale.
Marketing.
Yeah.
But Pedro, your Morrowind adventure has finally come to an end.
Yes, we finished the main quest yesterday, so go watch that stream. It was about 20 hours worth of streams, which is pretty good, especially considering I think that was the fastest I've ever finished that game, because it usually takes me several years to actually finish the main quest.
You're so focused.
I would say, with like speed running, but then again, I saw somebody speed run Darkest Dungeons. Like, okay, fine. I guess you can just do anything.
And you can actually speedrun Morrowind. I remember back in the day when speedruns were starting to become like widely known, someone managed to finish it in like 20 minutes. And I'm like, 20 minutes? How to... Oh. Yeah, you can do it in 20 minutes. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
I've definitely seen some of the game-breaking hilarity, man. That's really cool. That's kind of neat, man. Dude, a couple updates. You will notice, if you're listening to the show in your RSS feed, there's now this new fancy technology called timestamps and show links, because I now have the ability to include that, finally.
Yay.
The way our old system worked was to just grab the show description. So if I dumped all that in there, it would have messed up all the other RSS feeds. So I'm really happy about that. And I finished a video about Mr. Mackie, the Christmas mixer, Christmas control surface that I got for $89, and the experiments and things that I've done with it, and whether or not it turned out ultimately to be compatible with Ardour and Linux in general, being just a 19-year-old MIDI device that does a bunch of cool stuff. That video is up for patrons. And one last bit of housekeeping before we get to the shenanigans is, last week I told everyone, I'm like, yo, send me your audio stuff, because I'm going to start cataloging, benchmarking, and putting a legitimate current database for audio interfaces under Linux and whether or not they work. And just out of pocket, I'm going through eBay and just picking up anything and everything I can get my hands on. I said, yo, if you've got anything that you want to throw away, that you want to toss, that would end up in a landfill or in a closet, and then you're, whoever has to get your stuff after you're gone, send it to me, just throw it in my direction and we'll put it to good use. Got a little bit of feedback for that. I think 7 if you count the one person that was straight up just trying to sell me stuff. That clearly had not been to eBay, and I'm like, the reason I'm saying toss this stuff, go to eBay, that's like a $7 product, man. I can get that all day on eBay for $7. That's shipping included. And I'm not $500, man. It's not gonna happen. But a lot of people took that as an invitation, which is totally cool. Thanks for your feedback, or letting me know of like, this is all the audio stuff I have, isn't that neat? And I'm like, yeah, it's neat. But like, okay. did have a couple people's like, I could ship you this and you can ship it back. And like by the time we do the shipping back and forwards, I could have just bought it off eBay.
Yeah.
So I have updated the things to try to make it a little simpler. If you go to our contact page, there's a link that's just got our P.O. Box shipping information with a list of some of the stuff I'm on the lookout for, especially like Motu stuff, because that's always been squirrely under Linux, and it is murky and unclear what works and what does not in 2020, and I want to get that sorted. But I'm almost done with the Behringer FCA 1616. Then we're going to move on to that, to either the Digirac 003 and to the newest edition is the PreSonus Fire Studio 26 by 26. So that's good. That's going to be fun. Also,
nice.
my fingers hurt.
Yes.
Because part of testing is like these interfaces is like, can they guitar? Can you just use them as a direct DI box? I had to put strings on a guitar and plug it in, and then like, ow! So dealing with that, man. Haven't like seriously played a guitar for any amount of time in like a decade. So that's interesting. It's kind of sad. I think I even have a video, like 30 minutes of me angrily staring at the guitar going, what's wrong with me? Because, the brain kind of remembers how to do stuff and the muscle memory is like, I vaguely remember how to do this. Like, work. And it didn't. It was kind of hilarious.
Aww.
Kind of hilarious if you like really sad old men trying things. So, on that upbeat note, let's get into the Thinkstation.
The Thinkstation P520.
Yeah.
It's available. You can build your own with Windows only, starting at $1,250. But if you are an AI developer, or at least that seems to be what Lenovo is marketing that Thinkstation towards, you can get yourself some Ubuntu Linux with the NVIDIA Rapids. And it's, it starts out the cheapest model at $4,719, with the high-end model going up to $5,859. So,
say dollars again. You sound like the newscaster. You're like, oh, and well, on Family Guy, where you have that cadence of like, and the thing.
Yeah, what I'm thinking is, why is the Linux version $4,719? You'd think that, the whole build your own thing would let you choose your operating system. Nope.
You got to pay extra for awesome.
Yeah, apparently an extra 3,500 pounds.
I don't know, man. My first thought when I saw that, because we, what was that last week? We talked about the System 76, or the week before when they were rolling out their new thread ripping systems.
Yeah.
And that's where I would go. But then again, one of the very unfortunate things, if you're stuck working in corporate, anywhere really, is like we can buy Dell, or maybe you might be buying this. Like trying to get a PO approved for System 70. Who? Never heard of them. No, get another Dell. It was kind of sad only to see Xeon options. I was like, boo.
Yeah.
2020. But I guess that's still going to be a thing for a long time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and you
Xeon
can get the
5,
10-core one, I guess.
Yeah, and Xeon 5 cards are still very popular. so you can pop one of those in. But I think this is really great that Lenovo is following suit with the likes of Dell. It's time now that Linux has become a first-class citizen. So that's awesome. It always was on the server side. Now it is on your content creation and cloud infrastructure and visual effects. So yeah, this is exciting news.
I mean, it's still cheaper than a Mac Pro. So
yes,
there's that.
Yes.
That's not saying much.
Sorry, I can't hear you over the $60,000.
Yeah.
I get it. Okay, I have to give you credit, Apple. You genuinely took the new Mac Pro, turned it sideways and put rails on it, and charged another $2,000. Just
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
is
You want the for you version?
that's so evil. It's almost beautiful. It's
And
pretty
the
sweet.
$1,000 monitor stand.
That didn't surprise me so much from Apple. I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds
Yeah.
very Apple-y. The
Yeah.
the sideways rack, the racks. It's like, wow, okay,
Yes.
okay, that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Mount.
But hey, man, if you get one of those new fancy jobs from the Thunderbird people, maybe you could afford it.
Yeah. Oh, this is awesome. So Thunderbird is hiring. And like we talked about in January, Thunderbird has moved to its own subsidiary of Mozilla, MZLA Technologies Corporation. And actually, this has allowed them to hire and innovate, more quickly and easily. And as a result, Thunderbird is hiring several engineering positions, release engineer, several senior software engineers, etc. So, go check that out and, see and go ahead and apply and make sure to give them a cover letter and that they requested that. And this is really, really awesome because we were so worried about the future of Thunderbird. And now this solidifies they're doing well in hiring. So this is really great.
Things were looking grim for the chicken for a while there, but
Yes.
it's one of the things that I'm very glad to see. Oh, look, an actual development structure. Yes, please. Oh, God, please
Yeah.
more.
That's not too bad. I mean, you just get to send a resume to jobs at thunderbird.net. Please state the title of the position. Okay. More on that.
Yeah, yeah.
I delete expletive dare you.
Yes.
Here's my
There's
CV.
lots of engineering positions.
That's always good. I would like to see, I don't know where this would fall, but please, for the love of flying spaghetti monster, can we get an updated spell checking system? Because the spell check database for Thunderbird, I don't think has advanced since like 2005. Like very regular common words are like shrug emoji. I don't know what this is. And I'm like, come on, you're
Yeah.
messing with me.
At least it supports emojis, so there's that.
There's that. And maybe,
Yeah.
just maybe, we'll eventually get a dark theme that is completely dark without
Yes.
like dark, blinding white. Dark. So looking forward to that. Good to know. On the lookout. Send those emails to them. What do we have up next? Oh no, bad news.
Waterfox.
Yes.
Waterfox, what happened, man? You used to be cool. System
Did it?
One.
Yes.
Well, we'll get to
Yes.
that. System One's like, yo, we're excited to announce that we've acquired the web browser Waterfox. To which you may very rightfully go, water what? Which I'm right there with you. I didn't even know what this thing was, man. What this boils down to is Waterfox was a privacy-focused browser developed by one lad all by himself over like the past 8 or 9 years. There was a nice little blog post like, yo, this is what I'm thinking about doing. And I wanted to do something with all the tracking and stuff like that. So System One, I did a little background and was like, so what are they about? Well, you can kind of spin this however you want. At the end of the day, System One's an advertising company.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of nice, fluffy, flowery things around. I was like, you sell ads.
Yeah.
That said, the developer of Waterfox is going to be part of System One now. So he's like, I finally have funding and a development team. So Waterfox can start to grow. So as like that's everyone's dream if you're just working on a project and, a company rolls in that you can kind of align with. Because System One's credit, they're like, we're very focused on privacy and not like doing all this like really super sketchy tracking, which isn't saying much by today's standards, right? But I'm still going to say, yeah, good on them.
Yeah.
Google's like, yeah, whatever. But yeah, I'm really happy to see that because I'm just happy for the developer, even though I couldn't tell you what Waterfox is other than like, yeah, that's the thing I didn't know about.
Yeah. Well, it's an optimized version of Firefox, of course. But actually, Waterfox became very popular among my students. All my students in my class years ago, no, 7 years ago, were starting to use it because it was a very fast alternative to Firefox. And now it has become a very, very privacy conscious web browser. And it still uses Zool, which is the user interface markup language developed by Mozilla, which was dropped in Firefox version 57. So, and it makes plugins really easy to install. And, you know, this, like Ben was saying, System One is definitely a marketing company. But I did play around with their search engine startpage.com. And I hadn't played around with it in a while. It came from that old search engine called MetaSearch many years ago, and it actually works very well. And I've been actually using it exclusively since Monday, just to see what it's all about. And so it was good to see, you know, System One is a you know, good company, and it was really good to see that Waterfox is a part of it. So
yeah, and
awesome.
yeah, the having your project be just financially funded by someone else, regardless of how you know, opposite their goals seem to be to yours, considering how privacy-minded Waterfox is, and then you have like advertising company funding
Listen,
it. Listen,
Pedro,
whatever.
I can change them from the inside.
Yes, but Jill brought up at the point is like, oh, it was very popular 8 years ago. It's like, was it? Was it?
Yes.
And I honestly, I couldn't tell you if I'd ever heard of Waterfox, but then I went to linuxgamecast.com and I hit the search bar and I typed in Waterfox. There was one result.
Hey.
One result, just a single one. It was a me and Ven only episode.
Okay.
And we talked about Waterfox as Brave and a couple other browsers that weren't working properly with something, or someone had dropped support for it. I don't even remember.
Clearly
that's
memorable.
The thing. It's so private, my memory doesn't even retain
I
it.
don't remember.
Best of luck with it, man. You know, as somebody running a small business, our little company here, even though we run it as a not-for-profit, but I can imagine like the load off your mind where you're like, oh, I don't have to worry about getting all the bills paid now. Neat. So I can just focus on like, let's go do stuff. So good on you, mate. We'll keep an eye on it. Hopefully next time we talk about it, it won't be doing like digging through a search engine. Like, wait a minute, did we?
Yes.
Remember that thing? Let's talk about Paint.
Yeah, this is awesome. Oh, there is a major new release of MyPaint, MyPaint 2.0, with lots of new features
That's
and
too
improvements.
mainstream. I only cover the minor ones, but go ahead.
Yeah. So the big deal in this version is that it has out-of-the-box support for linear compositing and spectral blending of pigments, which in layman's terms means that it better
Amoebas.
emulates...
You can draw amoebas.
Yeah, it better emulates the use of traditional media when creating artwork. So it's more natural, as if you were using a brush on canvas. And yes, this feature is still a work in progress, and I did notice a much slower speed when drawing, and that the mouse was delayed when drawing using this new version of MyPaint 2.0. But they are working on that to improve this. Still work in progress. And what's really great is they included backward compatibility with MyPaint 1.2, which is a really good thing, because the new files, MyPaint 2.0, don't work with Krita. So it was really good that they included that. And I've actually always loved using MyPaint. And one of the reasons why is it auto starts with a textured canvas to draw on. So it really is just, it's really wonderful to use, and it feels so natural, because they tried to, even the interface is similar to kind of your workflow as if you were painting on canvas. So it's really awesome. I'm really excited about it.
Pedro, as our resident art expert, what are your thoughts?
What? When did that happen?
I'm down with it, man. I mean, for Linux users, there's an app image. You can go ahead and download it, and it should work fine on fairly old systems, like 6-year-old systems and new distros. I tested it with a fairly ancient distribution, Debian Buster, which I run. It's great. Full Python 3 support is in this. Python 2 still supported, though. You still have like another 20 seconds. Keep dreaming. Lots of bugs and crashes and other annoyances have been fixed in this release. And
Yes.
And the sweetest part, there's still plenty of input issues on Windows, ranging from
Yes.
like offset bugs to multiple monitors to pressure not working on certain devices, and generally worse support for some more advanced features like external editing.
Yes.
So don't use this on Windows. This is the moral of the
Yes.
story.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's too worried. Well, Windows users aren't terribly worried about that.
Windows users love free software. They don't like paying for stuff.
Yeah, they don't like free software in the Free Software Foundation definition of it. They like free as in beer software.
I don't know.
The one they don't pay for, but they would normally have to.
Are you accusing
Yeah.
Microsoft Windows users of being sailors?
Pirates, yes.
Sailors.
Yes, I
Yes.
am.
Listen, man.
Very good.
This is 2020. Sailors.
Sailor.
Oh, sorry. My bad. I'm not up with the lingo,
Yeah.
so yeah, sailors.
There we go.
Leech the wares, everyone.
We have a Linux distribution review from Ars Technica, so this should be awesome.
Yeah. Interesting.
Oh, look. Oh, that's cute. This guy's got to be my age because he tried to make a joke up top that I'd make like an old person. By the way, I use Clear. What is it?
It's a
Vroom.
motorbike.
I know, right? Clear Linux OS.
Clear
is-
Linux.
I was waiting for Jill. She's like, I'm going to start talking. I can't stop.
Okay. Go ahead, Ben.
Let's rock and roll with this, man. This is Clear OS. You know what you love it. It's from Intel. And dude looked at it. He's like, hey, man, this is that thing that Products benchmarks constantly. He's like, look how fast it is. This is the one I want to benchmark. So how is it to live with? Well, kind of walks through what it is like to just get it up, set up, installed, dealing with UEFI. And it's like, I'm going to use a VM. I'm like, that's weird. But okay, a KVM anyway. And, you know, it's a well enough done review at the end of the day. It's like, it's got a little app store, you know, it uses the GNOME App Store thing, set it up. Nothing new under the sun. I got to say in 2020, I mean, that is a good thing because, okay, it wins the benchmarks, but on modern hardware, Linux is Linux, man. I mean, it's simple as that. If you want maximum
Yeah.
compatibility, like go get something from Canonical. If you want the brand new bleeding hotness, go to Arch. If you want the stability and boringness, get something Debian or Synth-based. But if you want to go fast, well, get Clear. Then you can benchmark things and go, look, numbers. Then you can close your VM and go back to Windows because that's probably what you're doing. Did I miss anything, Pedro?
No. That is the point of Clear. It is pretty fast, and one of the things they do differently is they change the number of defaults in the kernel, and instead of shipping the repositories, instead of just having like packages, you have software bundles that are not containers, but they might as well be, and they do make heavy use of Flatpaks out of the box. So, it is Intel's own vision of like, okay, we just want something to showcase that has a desktop environment, and, you know, good on them. Now they actually have a GUI installer. It used to be all command line all the time, but they do have that going on now, and the biggest thing that I'm a fan of is the irony. Because Clear Linux, being developed by Intel, of course, happens to run very, very well on Ryzen systems, especially
Yes.
Ryzen laptops. It
Pedro,
runs
Yeah.
very, very
How,
well.
how dare you imply that Intel is only creating a super fast Linux version to help make up for the security mitigations required to run modern Intel processors.
Yes, there's that.
How dare you?
Yeah.
I mean, they still recommend that you just straight up nerf hyperthreading. So,
but
Yeah.
if you're running Clear Linux, it'll be better. Don't worry.
it'll be safer than Windows.
Maybe.
Yeah. And I discovered when I installed Clear Linux last May for LWDW review how well it worked on AMD hardware, even an old 2013 Lenovo ThinkPad Edge laptop with a quad-core AMD A6 APU. It worked beautifully, and even on the older Radeon HD graphics, it performed nicely playing games in Steam, 60 frames per second average on medium settings, playing distance. That's really good for a very old laptop. So that's proving how beautiful Clear Linux is optimized. So these numbers don't surprise me at all. And the GIMP, Jim Salter, he wrote this beautiful article, and he had noticed that the GIMP would run faster on a native install on Ubuntu. And of course, that's because Clear Linux usually use Flatpaks. So it would run slower on Clear Linux. And I did agree with one of the things that Jim had to say was the SWUPD console package management tool in Clear Linux is very clunky, and that's very true. Yeah, it needs some improvement, but it works. So that was awesome.
So there you go. If you got to go fast, use Clear Linux. If you need to get stuff done, quit distro hopping, pick one, use it. Done. All right.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
KDE's done.
Yes. So last week, KDE put out Plasma 518, and this week they put out a hotfix. Because as it turns out, 518 was a bit buggy. Shocker.
KDE?
And no, it never breaks. It only took them like 16 releases of the 5.0 series, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the new version, which they did actually change a number of things. And as the resident KDE Neon user, right here on this very box, it was nice to see. I came home today, I turned on this PC, it's like, oh, there we go. There's the hotfix. Installed it, I ran it, 518.1, and it's, I didn't actually notice any issues with 518. I guess I got lucky with that, but 518.1 is also working pretty well. I did run the, superposition in Heaven. I mean, I'm still getting like 10,000 something points on superposition 1080p high and over 118 frames per second on Heaven Extreme. So no, it's running. It's working. There's a bunch of new stuff and a bunch of bug fixes, but it's
Yeah.
Is that something you tend to look for in a desktop manager?
Yes.
Yes.
It's something that runs and you don't actually think about, which I've started to notice with the last few releases of KDE. I don't think about it all that much. The features that I want are there, and I can make use of them, and it doesn't crash stupidly anymore.
Like it used to.
I wonder if that NVIDIA patch had something to do with it.
Ooh.
Yeah. Well, I had seen lots of complaints about Wayland using Plasma. And so now Plasma no longer crashes when you switch virtual desktops after changing the layout on Wayland. Very important. And the mouse input in GTK apps using X-Wayland now works properly. Before, with this bug, when you clicked the mouse on the close min max button, nothing would happen because the clicks would land somewhere else. So that was a pretty bad bug, even for Wayland. And and I was really happy about this one. I missed this last time I was using Plasma, is that Dolphin has the create new folder and text files, etc., back at the top in the context menu.
Oh,
So
that was
makes-
very much appreciated.
Yes, that was so annoying. not having that
It's
there.
like, why did you move it to halfway down?
Half down,
I mean,
yeah.
put it at the bottom, sure. Leave it at the top like it was. Great.
Yeah.
Why did you move it halfway down?
I know.
Why?
Something you have to use all the
UX design,
time.
man. You just don't understand. It's beyond your primitive comprehension, peasant.
Clearly.
Maybe they wanted to confuse the end user. Maybe they were taking notes from the GNOME project.
Don't give them ideas.
Yeah.
Just
No.
don't.
Come on.
Just don't.
No.
Say something else and I'll remove another option.
Go back to Unity, maybe?
Yeah, keep giving them ideas, Jill. Come on.
Okay, big new Blender release.
Yay! Blender 2.82 has a lot of new updates and features, including a new Manta flow system for creating fire and smoke effects, a new combustion system. And they improved cloth simulations and the sculpting and grease pencil tools. I used some of the sculpting tools and they're so much more precise now. That works really, really well. And what's also major about this release is it includes the new AI accelerated denoiser from Optics for NVIDIA RTX GPUs, which features faster renders with multiple CPUs and corrects texture and lighting issues and renders using the Cycles renderer. So that was major. We had talked about it here on LWDW, and it's nice now that it's fully integrated
Pedro,
into
on
Blender.
a scale of 1 to 4, what do you rate that elk?
It's certainly no hell elk, but it's getting there.
I'll give it 2 cheers.
I mean, one of the new things about the new version of 282 is the improved fire and smoke effects, so that can totally become a hell elk very, very quickly.
Yes. Oh, yeah. And so another really important thing about this release is that it now supports Pixar's very own open source universal scene description configuration files, which is actually huge for the industry. That's a way, configuration files, that you can move your assets and all your settings from one program to the next without them not needing to reconfigure them. And that's huge. That saves hours and hours of time.
But we have to talk about the killer feature, the one that will finally bring Blender usage to the masses, mainstream, replacing anything and everything. And that's the ability to simulate balloons and cushions with ease.
Yeah. Yes.
Internal air pressure. They were very proud about that.
Not just balloons.
Yes.
No.
And-
Gone are the days of proprietary cushion inflation software. Nay.
Yeah.
Welcome to 2020.
You no longer
where you
need
can
to
simulate
pay
balloons
NVIDIA
and
for
cushions.
cushion effects.
Telling you, man.
Yeah. Well, another significant thing about this is that you don't have to bring in plugins to do those functions. A lot of the 3D programs to do cloth and to make cushions, you have to bring in plugins for that.
No, I'm talking about cushion inflation.
Oh,
For inflating cushions.
yes.
Air pressure effects.
Well, Foxy in chat was playing a lot with that as
Part of me
well.
wants to believe that it's really a legitimate issue, but the other part is like somebody on the team is winning a bet by getting that in the
I can get that merged into
He's like,
master.
yeah,
I'll bet you $10 I can get that merged into
make
master.
this a highlighted feature.
Yes.
I want to believe some cheddar's been spent for that little note. And he's like, and I created a little animated GIF for you. There you go. Cushion inflation.
There you go.
Yeah.
Showcase.
Ladies and gentlemen, all of you are beautiful, and if we would like to enjoy our showcase that we put on each and every week on Wednesdays, we start on Tuesdays with Pedro when he's like hanging out in Morrowind, which would be no longer. He'll be up to other crazy stuff next week. We have this show Thursday. Jordan does the thing all the way from Space Canada. Friday, it's like watching a poorly trained AI. We do that, and last week, Friday of the month, we do Friday Night Fubar, and that's where we invite everybody to come hang out with us and we play trivia and stuff like that.
Yay.
And Saturday, we do the big show. That's Linux Gamecast Weekly. That's been going strong for coming up on 8 years, man. That is, we predate Steam on Linux. So if you've ever been curious about the Linux and the gamings, come hang out with us live, man. That starts at 8:30 Eastern time. We do that on Twitch podcasts. That's where most people catch it. And it's also available on YouTube. But if all that sounds like awesome, you're like, that's cool, man. I want to hang out with you guys constantly. And I'd like to support you. Well, you can quit sending Pedro inflatable life-size Antonio Banderas blow-up dolls. He's got too many. Nori's starting to be like, enough. I get the joke. It's not funny.
It is a pretty tiny apartment, so yeah, I have to keep them deflated a lot.
Oh, Pedro doesn't need one. He has a girlfriend.
Nori is no Antonio Banderas.
Antonio Banderas is no Nori.
Isn't that right, Nick?
Just in case she's listening.
Good call. Good call. If you want to support our fine, upstanding, whatever that just was, you can do that a bunch of ways. We got a little support button. We have Patreon, we have LibrePay, merch, PayPal, wishlist, Bitcoin. We take magic internet money. That's a brilliant thing. Best way to do it is patreon.com/LinuxGamecast. We have a bunch of membership levels that get you a gang of different rewards that you can cash in and be like, give me something in return for making this happen, becoming your boss, which we will do. One of my favorite things is everyone who hangs out in our Discord. That's going to hold away. We get a gang of people in there. We get to chit and chat and all that fun stuff. And you get the audio-only versions of these shows and the pre super shows an hour early. So yeah, you can come in there on Saturdays and like, hey, we do our little production meeting and we invite everybody to come take part in that. That's also in podcast form. You get a little custom RSS feed as a patron and some early access. I'm going to be dropping these interface reviews on you poor unsuspecting people making this stuff possible. Like, what do you think? All right, give me some thoughts. Give me some ideas, because I'm creating something new from whole cloth, and this is like definitely going through the feedback section before we dump it on the public. So they're going like, you've done everything wrong. Like, I've crossed all the T's and dotted all the lowercase J's. Deal with it. What else? What else do we have? Oh, merch.
Oh, we have some patrons to thank as well.
We do have some merch. We have some t-shirts. That's kind of brilliant. We got some mugs, stickers. We got wish list. If you want to get your name back here where it's blinking next to Frank and Linus and of course Nick. Anything else? Okay, now Jill, what were you saying?
Yeah. So welcome back, Drummer, as an executive producer. Thank you so much. We love Drummer in chat and so happy to have him back. And thank you to George for increasing your pledge. We love you all, and it's amazing. It's just amazing that you help fund our shows. Thank you so much.
And Pedro
yes,
didn't write anything down, but he's got a whole chunk.
I totally forgot. But yeah, I do still need to thank Artherin right here on LWDW, because he bought me a bunch of things on the on my Amazon wish list, including a remote power on, power off button that is currently in the Steam box, a by 16 4X M.2 NVMe PCIe card. Nice. I still need 3 more NVMe drives in there to slot it in, but and of course, the beautiful, beautiful Nicolas Cage poster. And he says, hey, Pedro, would you be so kind and test this card thingamajig before I buy one for myself? Thanks much. With love, no homo, Artherin.
Oh.
So I get to play Guinea Pig, although that's a pretty weird way to get, testing hardware. It's costing you double the money. What are you doing? I appreciate it anyway. Thank you.
That's because you're everyone's favorite giddy pig.
Oh.
No. I said giddy and I said pig.
No, Jill is dressed in pink.
Oink, oink.
You're sitting on a pink chair. What are you talking about?
That's exactly what I would expect a giddy pig to say. Exactly. Verbatim. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have some giddy pie.
Yay! Oh, kawaii pie.
And yeah, the first one is proper hipster. Someone decided, you know what? Remember those old flip clocks?
What gave it away? The color?
Yeah, let's make one of them flip clocks with a weather display and an FM radio tuner, because it has to be realistic, and a Spotify, just Spotify integration, because, yep. And that little black bar that they have on top, if you have a look at the article, or if you happen to be looking at the video version, there's a little black bar at the top. That's actually the snooze button.
Of course it's got
Like-
RGBs.
Yeah. Yes.
It's just some sort of feedback, because I'm guessing the volume knob doesn't click.
Okay, the one on the
all that
far
much.
right is changing between sun, stars, clouds.
Yeah.
Now, does it have a sandwich and or chicken leg?
I'm pretty sure
Chicken leg?
those wouldn't be very difficult to add.
No.
But yeah, no, the far right one is actually the weather display. It
Yeah, that's
syncs
awesome.
up. It has a little Raspberry Pi as the brains, and it drives the FM tuner. Spotify, obviously, you kind of need something to drive Spotify. And yeah, the flip time and the little weather display, the Raspberry Pi controls all of that, which is awesome. That is amazing. That's like proper hipster stuff. And you know, after you send everything down, all the 3D printed parts, you send it all down, that has a very high TSA acceptance factor.
Yeah.
It's TSA AF.
I don't know. You might want to print some sideburns on it. Maybe.
Or maybe give it some fake wood paneling. I know
Yeah,
Steve
you could
has
totally just wrap it in
Yeah.
wood grain. Yeah.
Steve Husband would love this because he loves flippy clocks. He still uses one. He still has one on the side of his bed.
Yeah, I like my time. You know, it's a nice, smooth, warm time. The analog feel.
I like to hear the click as the thing folds over.
No. Just,
Yeah. Oh.
I have no idea. I never had one of these, so I have no idea.
I have a Nixie tube clock.
My mom had one of those.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They
Those are
burned
pretty.
out.
Oh, no, it's not put together, but I have it.
Oh.
I'm not pretentious enough to set it up. This is neat, though. This is something you can do at home and play around with it. Very, very cool. Happy to see it.
Mm-hmm.
This, however, this is the P
I might
NAS.
do this.
Yes, the P,
No.
Pi, P, yeah. How does it go?
Pi NAS, not P NAS.
Penis.
Pi NAS.
I wasn't gonna say
You
it.
just did, Brad. You just did. The features of this P NAS is it's super small. Simple setup, cheap. Hey man, it includes Wi-Fi and easy to open case. If you like your Pi NAS, check out my page. All right. So we just made that wholly inappropriate. What is it, Pedro?
I'm sorry, we didn't do anything. That's literally what they called it.
See, man.
It's pronounced sailor. You mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
Dude, this is actually
Aw.
really cool. This is a.
It's awesome.
I mean, it's your same take on like, hey, we got a Pi and we're gonna make a NAS with it, but this is more about the 3D printed case that's around it that looks like little sandwich holders that you could just slot the drives right into, which is like that's actually a clever idea.
I know. It only it's like Ben was saying, easy to open, and it actually only needs 4 bolts and 4 parts printed. That's amazing. Very well done.
USB to if you get a Pi 4, you legitimately get USB 3, right? So
Yep.
I mean that's a better type of cancer.
You can actually get off of USB 3 is like 300 and something or 400 and something megabytes per second. So you could totally drive 3 or 4 2.5-inch hard drives.
It's very
without hitting too much
important
of a
to
bottleneck.
wash your Pi NAS.
Yes.
Yes.
Watch your Pi
No
NAS.
one likes a dirty Pi NAS.
And your pineapples, if you're going to eat them. But yeah, no, this is absolutely something that I am very, very, very much pondering whether or not to build, because I have like 10 2.5-inch laptop hard drives, and I have the Raspberry Pi 4 B and the Raspberry Pi 3 A+. So I might use the A+, just because that one's, now that I have the 4 to play around with, I might just use the A+ and just USB hub all the things, and away we go.
It really
sounds good.
It's probably a good thing you don't get the internal monologue that just is like, we need a laser cut. I'm like, no, because that's all you'll do. You'll just write Pi NAS on everything. I'm like, maybe.
No, I just write the pen is mightier than the sword in a font that has really bad kerning.
Clean enough. Okay, that's going to do it. We're going to get out of here. I'm not going to say we're going to quit while we're ahead, but we're going to quit before we break out a new shovel. Pedro, if you want to get a hold to us, how can they do it? Maybe they want to share pics of their Pi NAS.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you did build yourself a Pi NAS, let us know. And go to linuxgamecast.com, hit the contact button, and include links to your pictures after you fill in the form correctly. It's really not that hard. If you're sending some feedback for LWDW, make sure that is the show that you pick on the show box, and that's it. You just send us your message, and if we like your Pi NAS, we will be very happy to feature it right here, right now, and put it on display on the internet.
Sounds like a plan. All right.
Yeah.
Until next week, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to roll some credits as I carefully dig around. Nope, wrong show. How about that?
There we go.
Linux Gamecast Weekly.
Ha!
Yay!
Unsolicited Pi NAS. Ha!
Yes.
I had to say that because this could be the show title.
Yeah.
There was a lot of Pi NAS.
Yes. There's another way it can be said, but I don't want to say that here.
Is it the way you said it during the show?
No.
See, it doesn't work when you're like, that didn't happen. I'm like, you got it recorded, man.
Pin. You know, pin.
Jill,
you know.
Jill, you straight up said penis in the middle of the show. I'm gonna have to go back and bleep that out. Not me. Not Pedro. You.